Deluge drumming is incredible.
Freebeat.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Freebeat, where I post new music-related content every single day, so if that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Today's patron shout-out goes to Fusion Breaks. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. So this, of course, is the Synthstrum Deluge. This is my Alesis Trigger IO. I've showcased it a few times on the channel, but basically what this does is take drum trigger inputs and turn them into MIDI data, either USB or 5-pin, thus allowing any drum pad, like this Roland PDX8, to become a MIDI controller for any traditional 5-pin MIDI device like the Deluge or USB if I wanted to do it that way. So today we are going to attempt to use this drum pad via the Trigger IO to record some MIDI data into the sequencer on the Deluge and basically just see what we can do. I've never set this up before. I've used the Trigger IO in the past to control things like the model cycles, the MPC-1, and the Volca drum very recently, actually. But I'm very excited to try this with the Deluge. Because of the 4.0 firmware update, we can actually play back individual rows of the sequencer backwards or ping-pong. So after I record some MIDI data, then we can further mess with it. So let's get all of this set up. Let's plug in the Deluge headphone out there. Cool. Gonna take a cable here and plug in the Roland PDX8 into the Trigger IO. There it is. Gonna be powering the Trigger IO today with USB. And I'm going to be using a 5-pin MIDI cable here to connect the Deluge via MIDI in to the MIDI out of the Trigger IO. There we go. So if we look at the Trigger IO, when I hit this pad, we can see we do have activity there. Awesome. I'm not gonna mess with any settings on the Trigger IO because it should be set. Let's turn on the Deluge and figure this out. So first thing we need to do is get a drum kit. Just gonna use kit 1 for right now. Now I believe we can just use the MIDI learn option here to assign this MIDI note number to this pad. So I hold learn, I hold the snare drum's audition pad here, and then I think I just hit the snare drum. Yeah. That easy. Now we can hear that it's kind of cutting itself off, and I believe we actually need to change the polyphony of this sound. So to do that, we hold Shift and press polyphony. And it's set to auto, so let's go ahead and set that to polyphonic. There we go. Nice. Just like that, we are good to go. Now, the first thing I'm noticing right off the bat is that the Deluge does respond to velocity. Nice. So that bodes well for things to come because we should be able to get some really expressive patterns recorded into the sequencer here. So let's go ahead and give ourselves 4 on the floor. And let's go ahead and put 8th notes on the hi-hat. These are going to kind of take the place of a metronome just because I don't really feel like using a metronome. Cool, nothing crazy about that. So now we could just record right into the sequencer. You can hear the dynamics were captured pretty well. However, it did not capture that little roll I did at the end there. That's because we've got quantization on. So I'm going to hit undo and unrecord that, and let's go ahead and adjust the quantization now. So to do that, hold Shift, click in the main menu knob here to get to settings. We're going to go to record, quantization, and right now, yep, it's set to 16th notes. We can actually go as deep as 64th notes, or we can just turn it off, which I'm going to do. Cool. Let's go ahead and record now. Wish me luck. There we go. That's not bad, is it? Now, the thing to remember is that this is all MIDI data, not any audio recorded anywhere. We're just playing this snare drum sample here. So because of that, we can go in and edit things. If we go into 64th note view here, we can see that my timing was not perfect. In fact, yeah, it was pretty off. But that's okay, because when we, scroll all the way out, it does sound pretty good. I did play with a little bit of swing as well, which is why it doesn't adhere to the beat perfectly. So now, again, because it's MIDI data, we can manipulate the sequencer in all sorts of different ways. So let's go ahead and hold down this snare drum row here, press this button under this left knob. Now we can change the playback type of this sequencer row. So I'm going to go to ping pong. That means it's going to play through this way and then come back and play this way. Let's have a listen. That's kind of weird, isn't it? So I just undid what we recorded because I think if I record live, I think it will instantly start playing that backwards, which could be really fun. That is so cool. Yeah, it instantly started playing backwards. So now let's have some fun with it. I'm going to put a kick drum right here on the and of 4, but then I'm going to hold down the kick drum row and shorten the kick track by a 16th note. So now we're going to have some shifting kicks. That is so cool. Now let's do that with the snare drum, but first what I want to do is zoom into 30-second notes. So now we've got 2 pages to look at here, and we can see our 30-second notes. A white pad, by the way, indicates that there is a note or are notes that are not perfectly in quantization with this zoom setting. But either way, let's hold down our snare drum pad and take it down 1 30-second note. This is going to be pretty weird, I think. I'm going to zoom back to 16ths so we can see the whole measure on the same screen. That is pretty cool, and we are definitely starting to get into generative territory. Now let's change the playback type of the kick drum. So we're going to go ping pong on that as well. Nice. Now what I'm going to do is re-enable quantization here. So I've got it set back to 16th notes, and what's cool is that the Deluge will not override this MIDI data and quantize it. What we already recorded on the snare, it's going to keep it. Which is super cool. Now what I'm going to do is unlearn the pad from the snare drum track, and this time relearn it to the hi-hat. There we go. That's why I re-quantized to 16th notes. I'm just going to play a nice 16th note pattern on here that I want to quantize to the grid, but I want to capture the velocity from my playing. All right, let's do it. There we go. I wanted a natural swell up and down dynamically. But what I'm now going to do is remove a few of these notes here. Set the sequencer playback type here to ping pong on the hi-hat track as well. And I'm going to shorten it by 1/16th note. As you can hear, the dynamics stay with the pattern because it's MIDI data, so they're assigned per step. That is so cool. This setup can truly be a never-ending source of inspiration. Also, one thing I just remembered I want to do is play with probability on the snare drum track that we recorded here. So let's go ahead and mess with the probability settings on some of these. This might sound kind of awkward, especially that roll. Just kidding, I was wrong. It's freaking awesome. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that drumming on the Deluge is indeed awesome and can lead to some truly incredible sessions. The latest update is fantastic. These sequencer additions are next level, especially when you turn off quantization and drum along. That just adds a whole new dimension to the Deluge, and you can bet that we're going to be using this with my Roland TD17 full electric kit for some ridiculousness. I cannot wait to send each pad to a separate piece of the kit and then mess with the sequencer after we lay something down. It's going to be wild. I am so looking forward to it. I hope you are as well, as do I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way though, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. New videos every single day. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.